A very little prayer that you wrote down in your book, God Talk, that I love is, thank you, God, for helping me to understand that this problem has already been solved.
My favorite prayer, and I've been using it for 30 years. And I step into the experience of that, the result of which is I have very few problems in my life. And, people are always asking me, well, you live the life of right. I mean, nothing bad ever happens to you. And I have to say to them, well, that wouldn't be exactly true. My life isn't that much different from anybody else's, except that, number one, I don't see situations as problematical. And number two, if I imagine that a situation could be a problem, I simply thank God in advance for knowing that the problem has already been solved. Then I just simply step into the solution. And I have to tell you, I'm not going to lie here and say that it works every single solitary time, 1,000%. But boy, does it work almost 1,000%. Yeah. The result of which is people who know me say that I have a very easy life. But it's not true. My life is no different from anyone else's. But I see it differently. I experience it differently. I hold it differently, and I respond to it differently. That doesn't make me a walking master, but I have learned some things in my conversations with God. There's no question about that.
And what a powerful one. You're not identifying with the problem. You're not going into despair. You're not, oh my gosh, what do I do? Or please, please, please help me. It's like the answer's already there. And so just thanking God in advance. I love that.
And the second aspect of dealing with problems in life is not only to thank God in advance, but for the solution, but to not require any particular outcome in specific terms. When we don't require life to show up for us in a certain way, we leave the space wide open for whatever wants to emerge. And it will always be in our best interests, my experience has been. But whatever emerges from life is always for my best interests, because what my soul is interested in is evolving and growing. And I have yet to encounter any experience that has not caused me personal growth. So it's really quite simple. I don't require a certain outcome. I don't require certain things to happen in a certain way. But, it's easier for me to talk this way now. I'm 80 years old, which was your cue, by the way, to see. Hey, you don't look 80.
Oh, my goodness. 80, Neale.
Too
a little
late.
Sorry.
But I didn't think this way always in my life. But really, since I was around 65, when I turned 64, I kind of adopted this awareness. It's it's when my wife asked me to marry her. Yeah, I had a wonderful experience. I was driving along in the car. We knew each other for about a week. We were friendly for about a week. And she turned to me in the car. We were going to see a play. And she turned to me in the front seat of the car and she said, I think we should be married. And I looked at her and I said, you don't want to say that to me twice. She said, no, I'm serious. I think we should be married. I extended my hand to her across the front seat, shook her hand and said, done. We flew off to Las Vegas 2 days later, got a marriage license where you can get a license, with a 1 hour, no waiting period, and went to a wedding chapel and came out as man and wife. That was 16 years ago. But, I moved into that experience not needing a particular outcome. And since I've moved through my life, every aspect of my life, my career, my relationship, my health, all situations that arise in anyone's life, I have abandoned my need for a specific result. I've just let life show me what it is it wants to show me, or what it is it's choosing to reveal. And I see it all as an opportunity for spiritual growth. That might feel a bit lofty to some people, but I don't see my life as a human experience. I see it as a spiritual experience.
And I'm curious, in spiritual evolution, so often, Neil, we hear about in order to evolve, in order to truly grow, we have to suffer. What are your thoughts on that?
Suffering is a decision. Pain is not a decision. Pain is an experience. Pain is pain, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. But suffering is our decision that it shouldn't be happening. When we decide that it's okay that it's happening, we don't suffer. We experience the pain, we experience the discomfort, but we don't suffer from that experience. We simply embrace it, and it is what it is. I learned this by watching my wife at the time give birth to triplets. I have 9 children, just for the information of the audience, but 3 of them came in one moment. And I watched my wife give birth to those triplets, and it was not without discomfort on her part. She was, feeling, as one might imagine, a bit of discomfort with 3 births within an hour and a half. But she didn't suffer. And I remember looking at her. She taught me a great lesson on that day. I said, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry you're suffering such. I'm sorry you're suffering so." And she said, "I'm not suffering. It's okay. I'm not suffering. I'm giving birth. There's a difference." And I took that incredible moment of wisdom and applied it to everything in life. Every moment is a giving birth of some kind or another. We can choose to suffer as a result of what's occurred, or to allow it to give birth to the next grandest version of who we really are. Choice is ours. I could, of course, be wrong about all of that. I don't think so.
I concur. Yeah. I think that's so powerful that when we don't push against something that's here,
Yeah,
when we don't resist,
that's
when
right.
we just say, this is what's here, even if it is, as you were saying, it could be a physical pain or a situation, but that pushing against it, that's what creates suffering. And when we surrender to, yes, this is what's here now, that's where it becomes it allows for more ease and grace.
And not only that, it goes away faster because we were
Yeah.
holding it in a different way. Conversations with God made it very clear to me. I was told by God in one simple sentence, "Neale, what you resist persists. And what you look at simply disappears. That is, it ceases to have its illusory form."
And that line, that speaking to you from God, what you
Resist
resist persists,
persists.
has been a mantra in my own life since I heard it in the film The Secret. That was one of those things that in my life I've really tried to look at, what am I doing? What am I pushing against? How do I surrender to what's here? And that level of acceptance, that then it clears the path. It makes what's happening now, there, all of a sudden there's air. I can
Yeah.
breathe.
And what am I pushing against and why? Why am I pushing against this? What am I afraid would happen if I didn't push against this? I always say to people in my workshops and retreats, what's the worst thing that you think could happen? What is the worst possible outcome that you think could occur? Do you think someone's going to come and throw a chocolate cream pie in your face? What is the outcome that you think is so horrible? And then I ask my audiences when I give lectures, Stephanie, an interesting question as well. I say to them, how many of you have experienced what you thought at the time, in the moment that it was happening, was one of the worst things that could ever happen to you, only to discover 5 months or 5 years later that it was one of the best things that ever happened to you? How many of you have had that experience? And Stephanie, 98% of the hands in the audience go up. Everybody has had that exact experience. And then I say to them, the master is the one who knows that now and doesn't wait 5 weeks or 5 months or 5 years to come to that awareness. The master is the one who knows when something is occurring, that it is one of the best things that ever happened to him, even though she thinks it's one of the worst things that could have happened to her in that moment. That's the difference between a master and a student who's still learning. I could, of course, be wrong about all of that. I don't think so.